Hello friends, I'm back and on time actually. Well, this video might be technically posted on Thursday as I'll be finished uploading and editing it and stuff all by then, but it is being recorded on Wednesday. UFC 320 picks and predictions. It's spooky hours. I think this is going to be a pretty stacked card. Or not, I think this is going to be a pretty stacked card. This is a pretty stacked card. I think it's also going to be pretty good. I do think it's going to live up to the expectations. With a little caveat on that, I'm not sure if this card is going to be packed with as many finishes. But it should be good fights nonetheless. Before I start, I will address last week, actually. Last week was the worst picked card I've ever done on this channel type shit. It was actually insane. I'm going to kind of leave it at that. I just feel like I had to say something about it. It was absolutely insane, but hopefully that's out of the way. Bad picks, incorrect picks out of the way. I was also tweaking a little bit, but I digress. UFC 320. First off, early prelim opener of Veronica Hardy versus Brogan Walker. Going with Veronica Hardy here, this is kind of a no-brainer to me. Veronica Hardy is one of the biggest favorites on the card. I don't think she's the biggest. I think the biggest is Atiba Gauthier, who got his fight back, or got another fight, I should say. But Veronica Hardy should dog walk Brogan Walker. Veronica Hardy's actually technical, has some strength, shouldn't get bullied. Pretty good all around, but I think especially in the striking department, the fight doesn't even really have to go to the ground. Veronica Hardy should start and finish ahead of Brogan Walker. I wasn't going to say start and finish Brogan Walker, but she should start the fight, start getting ahead of Brogan Walker just through the striking alone. Should kind of stay that way. Calm decision for Veronica Hardy. Brogan Walker is almost done, I think, honestly. No disrespect to her. A little bit older, hasn't won a fight in the UFC. Not the most active or prolific career already at older age type shit for Brogan Walker as well. Bad vibes, bad vibes. I feel like it's just a more favorable matchup, if anything, for Veronica Hardy as well, compared to her last couple fights, for real. She's turned her career around, kind of. She's showing improvements, Veronica Hardy. Still got some career left, too, at 29 years old. Veronica Hardy's the pick there. As always, official rounded method of victory picks all the way at the end. With a little recap. Moving on, a fight that I'm pretty hyped for. Ramiz Brahimaj versus Austin Vanderford, man. It pains me to pick against this man, Ramiz Brahimaj. It really does, actually. Ramiz is a struggler. Ramiz is a fucking struggler. Cue the Guts theme. And man's from New York, so it really does fucking pain me. I think Ramiz Brahimaj might even be a slightly more technical fighter than Austin Vanderford. Slightly more technical, at least just in maybe striking and jiu-jitsu specifically. But I think Austin Vanderford will be able to use aggression, brute force, really, or strength. Not to say I think Ramiz Brahimaj is weak. Ramiz Brahimaj is tough, man. He has heart, and he has sneaky knockout power. Actually, legitimately sneaky knockout power. It's kind of a trend in Ramiz Brahimaj fights for him to come back and get finish wins. As seen, literally, I think even in his last two results, they were exactly that. The first one being a comeback KO win, I forget over who. And then the second one, the most recent one, being the submission win over Billy Ray Goff. Which was quite good, but again, before that happened, though, man, was getting tagged a little bit. I do think there is more to Ramiz than meets the eye. And at 7 fights in the UFC with 17 fights as a professional, that's actually quite tenured. And I do think there's something to when guys develop, or fighters develop in the UFC. Just in general. That does mean something to me. You know, you can have a losing or close to losing or barely winning record, but if you've fought almost the majority of your fights in the UFC, that does mean something. All that being said, I am going to go with this man, Austin Vanderford, just because I think Austin Vanderford is going to try to get Ramiz Brahimaj out of there. If the opportunity presents itself early on, if he catches Ramiz with a shot or something like that, with a punch or something, then I think he'll try to finish it right then and there, as anyone would, obviously. But also, if the fight were to go the distance, I could see Austin Vanderford kind of leading the charge, you know, setting the pace for the fight. I think that's going to matter here, but that should be pretty good, actually. Ramiz Brahimaj versus Austin Vanderford. Moving on. Another one. We got a couple good ones, really. Really. Like I said, it's stacked. Punahele Soriano versus Nikolay Veretennikov. Nikolay Veretennikov, man, before I talk about Punahele Soriano, who is the pick here. Actually, fuck that. We got to talk about Punahele, right? If he's the pick, and he's also listed first. Punahele Soriano, man, has turned his career around, actually, pretty much, with a new chapter at welterweight, and he's looked great. He's looked great. Chin looked a little bit better, actually, surprisingly. Still maybe not like the most reliable thing, but what is reliable is man's power. Man has spooky power. He's willing to scrap. He's actually kind of deceptively fast. Nikolay Veretennikov is kind of deceptively fast, too, except in his last fight, he looked like shit, man. He just looked like shit. I wrote in my notes, he did have a little bit of hype, but that was just straight up coming into the UFC before he even had a fight. It's kind of gone from that. Man's 1-2 in the UFC now. Had great fights. All of his fights are actually pretty good, if not great. But in one he got finished, in the other one he almost got finished, and then the win is obviously the win. So, could Nikolay Veretennikov step in with a quick 1-2 and KO Punahele Soriano in the first round? Absolutely, but I think it's more likely that Punahele Soriano rocks Nikolay Veretennikov with like a check hook or like a rear hook or some shit like that. I could see that happening. And again, actually, I'm glad. This is what I felt like I was forgetting something. Punahele Soriano, this is one of these guys that was developed in the UFC. He has 9 fights in the UFC, a 5-4 record in it. As a professional, he has 15 fights, 11-4. That, man, all of the fights that he lost were in the UFC. And he almost doubled up his wins, essentially, as well, in it. That's impressive to me. That means something. Man isn't old as fuck. He is a little bit smaller than Nikolay Veretennikov, but what he lacks in that little size discrepancy, I think he more than makes up in just muscle, strength, power. Punahele is the pick there. That's kind of a logical pick. I get if you pick Nikolay Veretennikov, but I do fuck with this man, Punahele Soriano, in this matchup, actually. Moving on, Patchy Mix versus Jakub Wikłacz. I'm actually going with this man, Jakub. I wasn't going to watch any of his fights, but I actually ended up watching tape on him, a quick little compilation of some of his KSW wins. And I was actually extremely fucking impressed by what I saw. And that in combination with Patchy Mix's UFC debut, I'm fading Patchy Mix. I got to go with this man, Jakub. And I'm actually feeling pretty good about that, too. Jakub's young. He's got his career ahead of him. Patchy Mix isn't, like, over the hill or anything, but it's just, I think the Mario Batista shit was so fucking bad. It was so bad. And Jakub is actually a very, very, very well-rounded guy. He's dangerous on the feet and on the ground. He actually does look for finishes. He's trying to finish the fight. Sometimes man gets caught reaching, but he gets powerful takedowns. He's strong, deceptively strong. Talking about Jakub here, he's low-key a monster. If you look him up right now, KSW, like I just said, they posted a compilation of some of his fights. In the last fight in that compilation, it was like a trilogy fight he had with this dude, I think, or maybe just a rematch. Defending his belt. I think he took the belt from that guy. Man was actually losing a little bit. The other guy kind of figured his game out, was heavy on the counter strikes. Not trying to get into any extended engagements. And this guy, Jakub just yoinked up a guillotine out of nowhere after he got hurt bad, sliced open. And it was actually nasty. Man choked him out, put him to sleep. It was a fucking vicious, vicious guillotine finish. I'm feeling good about Jakub Wikłacz. And in fact, I got him, or we'll save it. We'll save it for the end, but I could see that man getting a finish here, really. Moving on. Macy Chaisson versus Yana Santos. Yana Santos, who actually kind of fuck with, got a little bit more respect now, I feel like. But, unfortunately, we're not going to go with Yana Santos here. Macy Chaisson, this is a very, very, very favorable matchup, I think, for Macy Chaisson. Yana Santos, way better than people give her credit for, although I have heard more people start to give her that credit. I just don't think she's going to have anything for Macy Chaisson, who is only a little bit younger, but fights a lot younger, I feel like, if you get my drift. Macy Chaisson a lot bigger, a lot more lethal, intense in her fighting style, trying to finish the fight at least. Yana Santos is content with getting a point win, getting a decision win. And she's good at it. She's good at it. It's not like Yana Santos is bad. And she has some nice close-range weapons as well. Nice elbows and knees from Yana Santos occasionally. I just don't think there's anything that Yana Santos does, in particular, that Macy Chaisson doesn't do better, for real. Maybe not worlds better, but better. Macy Chaisson the pick. Moving on, Daniel Santos versus Joo Sang Yoo. A lot of people going with Joo Sang Yoo. I'm still going with this man, Willycat, though. Willycat. I think that this is actually... Joo Sang Yoo had a spectacular knockout win in his debut. I think he knocked out... Or I know he knocked out Jeka Seragih. I think he knocked him out with literally a jab. But... Jeka Seragih, low-key, was never UFC caliber. Like, man just had crazy knockout power. He was never UFC caliber himself. I don't really rate that win unbelievably high. It's fire. It was a great fucking finish debut win. Like, that I'm not doubting. I have not seen anywhere near enough, and I remember just on Tapology, the records of the dudes that he's fought is just a little spooky. It's a little spooky. Daniel Santos, on the other hand, has actually fought legit dudes in the UFC and fucking beaten them. He's a little bit more of a proven commodity in that sense. I really think this is a test for Joo Sang Yoo. This is like a huge test for Joo Sang Yoo. It's also a test for Daniel Santos. You know, can you get a new guy fresh on the scene, a rookie up out of here for real? We'll see that. Joo Sang Yoo is going to have a little bit of a reach advantage in this one, and he is a striker, so it might get spooky. But Daniel Santos is good all around, I think. Man, does have a chin, very tough. I don't know. This is going to be a huge step up for you. Like, that's really what I'm saying here. I'm going with Daniel Santos. Moving on. Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Muniz. Kind of spooky, because this low-key feels like an Andre Muniz win. Like... one of the fights that he wins type shit, similar to, man, like Jesus Aguilar. Like, you know, there's fights that's a Jesus, or a Neil Magny. That's a lot better of a comparison. Like Neil Magny's last win versus fucking Jake Matthews last weekend. That was a Neil Magny win. That was Unk still got it, you know. Neil Magny, Unk status, Unk era. I could see Andre Muniz, especially if this fight goes out of the first round, somehow locking up a sub, surviving later on. You know, something like that. I don't think this fight goes the distance. I think either man gets a finish here. The question is, does Edmund get a round 1 KO TKO DQ win, or does Andre Muniz somehow get a round 2 or round 3 submission? I think Edmund Shabazian gets the round 1 KO TKO here. Edmund Shabazian trying to return back to that golden boy, that killer form. You know, man is an extremely dangerous fighter in the first round. Had some hiccups here and there, but still an impressive record, both as a professional in general and in the UFC, does Edmund Shabazian have. And really the spooky thing is just that man gets reckless. He's not invincible. We've seen that, but he's gotten older. He's matured a lot. I like him here against Andre Muniz. I could see the round 1 finish. I'm going with, obviously, that. Moving on, Farid Basharat versus Chris Gutierrez. This should be a pretty good fight. Maybe a little bit more of a sleeper than I'm letting on. But I do think Farid Basharat should win against Chris Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez here dropping in weight. Chris Gutierrez, the odds on this are a little wild to me. Maybe they're not exact because I'm reading the Tapology odds. Excuse me. But, I don't know, Farid Basharat just seems to be more intense and more driven to win in spots where Chris Gutierrez, it's not that he's not driven, I guess, per se, but literally it wouldn't matter if he was. And that's someone who has an impressive veteran record in the UFC with over 14 fights. Or with 14 fights, excuse me. Could Chris Gutierrez win? Absolutely. Chris Gutierrez could actually just straight up be better than Farid Basharat, and it plays out exactly like that. Man just edges him out on points across all 3 rounds. Maybe he drops a round and he wins a decision, of course. Farid Basharat, on the other hand, when I think of Farid Basharat winning, I think Farid Basharat could win by decision. I think Farid Basharat could also get a finish. Possibly. And we've seen Chris Gutierrez struggle at this point, especially as of late with grapplers. You know, the takedowns. If man can't stop the takedowns, I think Farid Basharat wins that calmly. Don't think that's really controversial or a hot take. But if Chris Gutierrez stops the takedowns and he can land on Farid Basharat, we'll have to see. Until then, Farid Basharat is the pick. Moving on, Atiba Gauthier versus Tret. I was wondering, because I should have looked up one of this dude's fights, honestly. It was almost disrespectful, the fact that I didn't, but Treston Vines. Treston Vines. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I hope I didn't butcher your name, my brother, but this is a sacrifice. This is a replacement sacrifice. It's an even bigger sacrifice. They were already giving Atiba Gauthier, no disrespect to Ozzy Diaz, they were kind of giving him a sacrifice with Ozzy Diaz. I have it written in my notes. The UFC still won't give this man comp. For whatever fucking reason, they really, really want Atiba to build up a little highlight reel of him smoking cans, essentially, bums. I said what I said, honestly. I really said what I said. Short notice replacement, 5 days replacement in a fight that was already a mismatch, essentially, for Atiba Gauthier. Not a mismatch, but just, it was a sacrifice. It was a very favorable matchup for Atiba Gauthier. Probably be more of the same. Another round 1 KO TKO for him. We move on. There's really nothing more to say about that. Very interesting matchup here, though. Extremely interesting matchup. Joe Pyfer versus Abus Magomedov. And I guess I'm going against the grain a little bit here. I'm going with this man, Abus Magomedov, man. Joe Pyfer, man. Extremely fucking dangerous. Bouncing back from his first loss in the UFC. In particular versus Jack Hermanson. People would say the fraud check. A little bit. More of a vibe fraud check. But Joe Pyfer still does have that nuclear punching power. You know, he does have that spooky one-shot power. Man is a fucking talented and skilled and active grappler. He does have some heart. He does have some grit. But here's the thing. I actually think Abus Magomedov, not the better grappler, but possibly the better striker. Just technique for technique. Abus is actually pretty fucking good. And if you look at his losses back, it's not like it doesn't make sense. Man lost to Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland literally then went on to be the champ. So it's not even like it's just the fighter himself. Sean is good. We know Sean. Sean was in crazy form. He was in crazy fucking form then as well. That win, really, there's no shame in that. The things that still are questionable about Abus, I'm not really concerned about his chin as much. With this man, Joe Pyfer, like, he might get the KO. I think if it gets to the point where Joe Pyfer is like landing clean punches and checking the chin of Abus, it's already clipped. And Joe's probably going to get the finish regardless. But Abus is a very technical striker, man, and he does have some sneaky wrestling. He can get back to his feet. The problems are stamina. It's cardio. It's endurance. It can't really be relied on. And that's what's kind of holding me back. I almost want to switch to Joe Pyfer, but I like to think that Abus can win this fight by decision. Calmly, actually. I'm not going to lie. Calmly. I think Abus is quicker when it's going to in the striking exchanges. Abus has nice kicks. He has nice low kicks. Joe Pyfer kind of struggles with the kicks, with the furthest range attacks, actually. I'm low-key fucking with the Abus Magomedov pick. Slight underdog. Let's go. We move on. Josh Emmett versus Youssef Zalal. Fuck with both of these dudes. Youssef Zalal, though, making the best of his second UFC stint. Youssef Zalal is going to be the pick here. At first, I was thinking by decision, but honestly, Youssef Zalal, I think is trying to really make a statement. Like, break out. Really fucking break out. I do think this fight is going to end in finish for Youssef Zalal. Josh Emmett, of course, kind of similar to Joe Pyfer. Man does have spooky one-shot knockout power. Josh Emmett also has decent wrestling in particular. Man can keep Youssef Zalal maybe off of him. Maybe not. I actually don't think so ultimately throughout the fight. Josh Emmett getting a little bit old himself at 40 years old, especially for his weight class. It's just Youssef Zalal looks like he's in great form right now. Shown insane improvements, man. decent size advantage over Josh Emmett. I'm not saying power, but decent size, like height and reach advantage. A little bit younger, way less mileage, even though they have similar numbers of fights. Just, I think this is a good matchup. Maybe not favorable, but a good matchup for Youssef Zalal. Youssef Zalal is the pick here. And like I said, we'll say it at the end, but Youssef Zalal is the pick. Moving on. Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. Fucking terrifying, actually. Quite terrifying. I could see Yuri Prochazka kind of running over Khalil Roundtree Jr. I could see Yuri Prochazka readying up, charging up, looking for the opening to run over Khalil Roundtree Jr. and Khalil essentially one-shots him into oblivion. I am going to go with this man, Yuri. Yuri is a very veteran fighter. Very veteran fighter. I mean overall. Man's closing in on 40 fights. Not even 35 years old. Big as fuck. So is Khalil. Khalil's huge. Like, he might seem smaller to the rest of the dudes, but he's big himself. But I think Yuri Prochazka just... It is that kind of controlled wildness, the controlled chaos that Yuri Prochazka funnels into finishing sequences. I don't know that when Khalil is going blow for blow or like sequence for sequence with dudes, like, and it's trading back and forth, then he can like get his power, he can start bugging out, and even if it's from a dude like Alex Pereira, he can take it. You know, he can kind of stand his ground and take it a little bit or try. If it's kind of non-stop from Yuri, or like it gets into like a chase sequence, like Khalil's heavy on the back foot, like bumping into the cage and stuff like that, I don't know if he really gets away from Yuri like that. Maybe he survives the round. Maybe he doesn't get finished. Man's had great fights recently. And I mean that literally, great fights, as in despite losses and despite wins. Great fights nonetheless. I don't know how else to say it. I have it written in my notes here. It's just that, it's what I'm hinting at before. It's just a bit still. It's a bit watching, a bit too tradey in that sense. Too tradey. That maybe is the best way to describe it. That's what I don't like from this man, Khalil Roundtree. Yuri Prochazka is the pick there. Moving on. Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen in the co-main event for the Bantamweight Championship. Merab looking to extend his Bantamweight reign. Man has enjoyed dominance as of late. Beaten back the challengers, but a new one, Corey Sandhagen, man. I'm fucking terrified. Merab is my instinctual pick. I actually switched it to Corey Sandhagen as I was making my last notes. I was rewatching Corey Sandhagen fights. And, some of his fucking finishes, man. Some of the shit that Corey rallied from, it's just crazy, man. Like the Alcantara fight. I think Alcantara. Some Brazilian dude. I'm butchering that dude's name, but that shit was crazy. Marlon Moraes' fight was kind of crazy. Like, a lot of his fights are crazy like that. The thing that concerns me is that even in those fights, those guys were taking him down. They were taking Corey down. Now, Corey was able to reverse those positions, turn them to his side, turn them to his advantage, or sometimes simply escape, but he did get put there. People sometimes were really taking Corey for a ride. And so I did switch back. I was thinking about switching back again, but I did switch back to Merab Dvalishvili, my original pick. Merab really is the machine, man. He doesn't stop. He's relentless. I think that's an attribute or a descriptor, trait, whatever you want to call it, that should be an adjective that should be used very sparingly with fighters. But Merab has earned it. He's literally fucking relentless. Questionable chin still, and people will point that out, but man really does do a good job of not getting hit. And now he's kind of in that developed stage where the threat of the grappling and the takedowns opens up the striking a lot, and Merab is actually able to land really good shots with his hands, specifically on fighters. And Merab, he said it, in his training videos, man's trying to get finishes. He's trying to step that up. I think Corey Sandhagen is competent enough, not even competent enough, he's good enough on the ground, really. I don't think he's going to get finished. I do think he's going to get taken down and held repeatedly over the rounds, but I don't think he's going to get finished. And probably he tags Merab at least one good time. Like, by good time, I mean he wobbles him, drops him, gets a good visceral reaction out of Merab Dvalishvili. He could knock him the fuck out, and I wouldn't be that surprised. I would be surprised still, but not that surprised. Not that surprised. If Merab stops the takedowns off rip, I will be. I mean, if Corey stops Merab's takedowns off rip, I will be very fucking surprised then, actually. But that should be an absolute banger of a fight. If you're just rewatching some of Corey's finishes and wins, though, it really was scary. Merab is a dog, though. Merab is a dog. Merab's used to fighting bigger dudes. Corey Sandhagen, despite being noticeably taller than Merab, actually doesn't have a crazy reach advantage. He only has a 2-inch reach advantage despite being 5 inches taller at 5'11". Yeah. Merab Dvalishvili, that's the pick. Moving on. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira for the fucking light heavyweight championship of the world. The main event of UFC 320. And as sad as I am to say, it's kind of like last week. I'm really trying to... I've noticed I've been letting emotion like come back into my general picks a lot more and more. Like, but trying to get back to the strict shit. I low-key want Alex Pereira to win. Just for the vibes. But if you watch the first fight, I really don't see how Alex Pereira would win. I don't. Unless he got unbelievably better at wrestling. And it's not even to the point where, oh yeah, man's stopping the takedowns. It's now, Alex can stop the takedowns to the point where, like, the thought of incoming takedowns doesn't affect his striking. I don't think he's at that level. But maybe you do. Maybe you do. I'd like to know why, though. I'd really like to know why. I have a bizarre feeling about this fight that Alex Pereira is going to win by KO TKO, but hopefully that's just a bizarro, intrusive thought almost. Really, I could see Magomed Ankalaev winning this by all three methods, by any of the three methods, by KO TKO, by sub, by decision. And what's scaring me even more and more in the second fight is I think I'm struggling to see decision more and more. I deadass think Magomed Ankalaev is actually going to finish Alex Pereira this time around, but who knows? Alex always has that one-shot power. He's the type of fighter that Alex Pereira is one that can never be counted out. But I'm just going to pick against him this time. I got to go with this man, Magomed Ankalaev, to win the rematch fight. And we will do a little bit of a recap. Like I said, should be a good card. First pick, we're going with Veronica Hardy to win by decision. Again, that one might be a little bit spooky. I don't think it will be. I don't think it will be a little bit spooky at all, actually. Maybe Brogan Walker summons up all of her strength and manipulates, grapples, grabs up Veronica Hardy early on. Anything past that, I don't think will happen to Brogan Walker's benefit, so to speak. Veronica Hardy by decision. Moving on. Aston Vanderford facing off against Ramiz Brahimaj. I got Vanderford winning by decision. He could win by finish as well. But like I said, Ramiz is legitimately tough. A lot of his finish wins have come off of, obviously, a combination of, first and foremost, his skill. But second, the grace of him not being finished in that fucking fight. Surviving to that moment. Finally, moving on is, I think, the first finish of the card. One of the only finishes of the card. One of 5 finishes that I have on the card, which is Punahele Soriano by round 1 KO TKO / disqualification win over Nikolay Veretennikov. Pretty simple. I think these dudes are going to get into a firefight early. It behooves both of these guys. They fight their best early on. So I do think someone will go out when they get caught. Whoever can land the best punch first, essentially. The thing is, I think if Nikolay lands a really, really, really good punch, Punahele might be able to take one. Maybe I just jinxed it right now. Moving on. Then we got Jakub Wikłacz. By decision. Very calmly. Again, this is like partially a Patchy mix fade, but I also really liked what I saw from Jakub in KSW. I was very impressed. Macy Chaisson by decision. Again, Yana Santos is actually quite, or maybe not quite good, but way better than people give her credit for. Not bad. She's nowhere near bad. Way closer to good than bad. This is just a very favorable matchup for Macy Chaisson. She is better. I got her by decision. Could be a finish, but I'm going to stick with decision. Daniel Santos, Willycat. Again, I'm imagining this to be the toughest fight for Joo Sang Yoo. Maybe he gets finished. I honestly don't think he gets finished. Maybe he gets subbed, but... Or maybe he gasses and then Daniel Santos presses him for a KO TKO. But I think Joo Sang Yoo will at least be able to hold on, won't get finished, but a dominant or clear, decisive decision victory for Daniel Santos. Moving on, Farid Basharat. Again, another decision win, especially if Farid can get working the grappling. Should be pretty calm. Back to the finishes, though, with Edmund Shabazian. Again, round 1, KO TKO DQ. This is kind of a logical pick, I think. Especially if you are going with this man, Edmund. He'll probably win by KO TKO DQ. When do you think that's going to happen? In round 1. Straight up. And I believe, if I remember correctly now, Andre Muniz is actually coming off of a KO TKO loss. I just don't remember who. Atiba Gautier, I do believe, will follow up Edmund Shabazian's round 1 KO TKO with a round 1 KO TKO of his own. Again, that's a sacrifice fight. If it doesn't end in a round 1 KO TKO of either dude, cut them both. Moving on, Abus Magomedov by decision. Like I said, this is tough. I don't see him finishing Joe Pyfer outside of like a perfectly landed strike. I can see him hurting Joe Pyfer, but finishing, maybe not. I think Joe is strong enough to survive, competent enough in all areas of the fight to survive, even when hurt. And if Abus can actually develop the gas tank, keep that going, keep that good, I think he got it. Youssef Zalal by round 2 submission. I think that Youssef Zalal is going to try to get the grappling working. Maybe he won't. He might honestly be very confident in his speed and his striking and keep it on the feet. But I do think that the grappling is going to get worked a little bit from Youssef Zalal, and in round 2, might get a takedown with a good amount of time left on the clock. Works to the back, gets the rear naked choke over this man, Josh Emmett. That one's going to be kind of scary, though, for the same reason that the main event is going to be scary. Moving on to the featured fight, Yuri Prohaska. We got him by decision. Again, could get the finish here. Khalil is tough as a motherfucker, though. I don't think Khalil's going to quit. Yuri could finish, but I feel like the decision is kind of the safer pick here, and that's why I'm going for it, to be quite honest. Co-main event, we got Merab Dvalishvili by decision. Again, he's trying to finish people. He's made it a noted part of his game that he wants to develop. His finishing abilities. Will he actually be able to do it against a dude who's so well-rounded as Corey Sandhagen? Maybe not. Maybe not, but I do think he'll be able to win, no matter what. So, and to finish it off, Magomed Ankalaev. I was debating on whether KO TKO, but I'm ultimately going with round 3 submission. I do think that Magomed Ankalaev is going to be able to get a takedown eventually. It was tough the first round too, but first fight. Both men have definitely learned, but I think just at the skill level that they're both at in wrestling and grappling, Magomed Ankalaev can make more improvements with the information that he got than Alex Bejeda could. Even though Alex Bejeda has a higher ceiling, or a more open ceiling, maybe not higher ceiling, but a more open ceiling, as he literally just hasn't trained it as much. I don't know about that one. I just don't know about that one. I'm going with that round 3 sub. I think he gets the takedown. I think he gets to the back, gives some ground and pound to Alex Bejeda, opens him up, gets the choke in. That's all she wrote. Should be a great card. We will be here for smoky hours on Saturday. Approximately 15 minutes before the event starts, before the early prelim starts. We're there from the early prelim all the way to the main event, betting, smoking, and very rarely drinking, joking, talking, chatting, yapping. We do it all. We do it all. We do it all. Tune in. Like the video if you like the video. Dislike the video if you dislike the video. Subscribe if you want to see more content. More content coming on the way. I'm cooking up something The only thing that I can say to give you as a hint would be spooky, actually terrifying. Nay, it's dark and disturbing, and possibly weird, but still within the realm of fighting, just not professional. No hints. Very rare ending. Again, thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked the video. Dislike the video if you dislike the video. Comment below. Let me know your picks. Let me know your thoughts on the picks. Anything. Subscribe to see more content. And I hope, if you look down at the subscribe button, if you're watching on PC at least, or even your phone. I've seen it do it on my phone. I have an older phone. I'm going to say it in a couple seconds. When I say subscribe, does it light up? Am I special too? Let me know. Thank you for watching. Much love. Big kiss.